Hello everybody, this is Reggie time and we're coming with the, I think, 4th episode of the Bankroll challenge. I took a day off yesterday. I had a busy-ish day away from the tables and I logged in around 11 o'clock because I was already a little bit tired and the games didn't look great. There wasn't too many UK, there wasn't too much Canada, there wasn't too much Australia, there's an awful lot of Russia, and I was just like, you know what, I'm not feeling it, I don't feel like playing, so I just didn't play, which is, of course, everything that you can do that as a microstates grinder is not for my income, so it's fine. So we didn't play, but this is how the graph's looking so far. Needless to say, I'm really pleased with it. We have in the odd sharp downswing, but that's pretty much just naturally what happens sometimes during games. Happy with my all-in EB, running slightly above EV, but nothing to make me think that I've been getting it in really shit and doing really badly. Showdown winnings, it's trending downwards, but it's pretty much most microstates players do trend downwards. Going by my guideline of not losing red line at more than 10 BB 100, we're currently minus 68 at non-showdown over 7,800 hands, so we haven't breached the minus 10 big blind to 100 yet, so that's all good. We've had spells where we have, but we've retrieved it. It's gradually trending down. That's what's going to happen with red line. I don't fight that too much. It's whatever. It's just how poker works. Most of the time, especially in the microstakes, it's hard to have like a positive red line. So yeah, I don't worry too much about that. I guess lots of guys do worry about it, and they make all kinds of really bad adjustments to try and fix it. If your red line, just to touch on it, if your red line is going down too much, don't fall into the trap of thinking, oh, I need to bluff more. You probably need to value bet more. You probably need to look at your blind play and improve your play from the blinds, rather than just thinking I need to bluff more from X, Y, and Z positions. The two go-to places to improve red line, if your red line is pretty bad, is going to be value betting more and looking at the blinds, looking at your play from the blinds, and maybe making some more folds from the blinds, maybe not defending your blind quite as wide against aggressive opponents that give you problems post flop, all those kinds of things. They're the adjustments you want to make. You don't really want to be just making, oh, I need to bluff more, which is the standard response, and it's usually a bad response. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and we're going to load some tables up. Where are we at with the snap tables here? The computer's miles away. Fucking eyes are dreadful. There we are. One. Oh, need to get 888 caption up to. Yeah, that's up now. One table, two tables, three tables. And we're going to try and find a regular table to squeeze in. I'm not particularly going to table select here. I'm just going to look for a table that isn't full of Eastern Europeans, basically. And that's one. We're going to play our queens first before we start joining any tables. Really good flop for the queens here. We're just going to absolutely bomb c-bet and not fold. And then it's super easy, just shove on the turn. Give it a couple of seconds, it doesn't look like it's a really easy decision. And we could be beat here, but whatever. We've got such a bunch of equity, how can we ever fold? And we do get sucked out one. He had a decent amount of equity there on us, so whatever. We got our money in really good, we lost, we did our job. I think we're going to squeeze, we're definitely going to squeeze here on table one now. It's just too much dead money in there. We don't really want to be playing ace queen out of position to 4 players, 3 players. It's not what we want. So we're going to squeeze and just fold if we get 4-bet. Well, we were going to squeeze if we got 4. We can't fold to the gentleman who's asking us to put this much more in. And we get it in rough shape this time. Interesting call from him pre-flop, but whatever. What a fantastic start to the video. Buried a buy-in before we've even played, 20 odd hands. Never mind. Table 2 we have 2 overcards, backdoor flush draw and a gut shot, so we can't fold the flop, although I am very aware that he doesn't have many chips. We really can't call with a hand like 10-8 suited and not see a turn. We turn a pretty good card for us. Hope he doesn't pot it again, which he does. I mean, we're just getting odds to call here. It's just a matter of call, hope to hit, and then fold when we do. Jamming here is pointless because it's just pretty obvious he's got a hand he's going with. But we're just getting direct odds to call here. We're getting like 2-1 on a call. We've got 15 outs. We hope we got 15 outs anyway. We got 15 outs. Have we yet got 15? I'm talking bollocks there. You know, 12 outs. And we don't get there. So it's not been the most inspiring start I've ever had to a video. Lost 3 reasonable sized pots on the bounce. Yeah, flopped an open ender on table 3, 2 overs. Pretty much as good as it gets by missing. If you're going to miss with Queen Jack, this is the way that you want to be missing. Could just defend the A7 with a call there, but prefer to try and play with the initiative where possible. He snap checks to us. Kind of board hits 3-bet calling range is pretty damn hard, so and check it back. He just like bombs the turn for 3/4 pot. Let it go. And our challenge here in the first 7 minutes of the video is, and I have no problem with it, of course, but it is, if other people were playing right now, would be, your challenge right now would be to just remain level-headed. Yeah, we played 3 pots and anything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong so far. But our job is to just plod on. Ensure that you're still playing close to your best or your best. And just trust yourself to turn it around. Just trust yourself to play well and take what comes. He's all in. Good for him. No idea what any of this means with all this chat. Yeah. Not sure there's too much to be learned from that. There is too much. There is a lot to be gained from c-betting this board. Quite big though. Against somebody who just limp calls. He folds, which is a shame because you weren't expecting to fold any pocket pair on that board. And you expect plenty of guys to still just call with king, queen, ace high, things like that. Defend the ace 8 with a ace 9 suited with a call rather than 3-betting somebody who doesn't have a full stack because I don't think we have too much fold equity. Queen jack off suit, min raise. He's going to, from middle position, I'm going to respect it. Nuts coming is trying in some way to communicate with me, but there you go. I would like to, I can't type, my keyboard's too far away. Many apologies. When you watch this next video, Nuts coming, be aware that my keyboard is literally fucking miles and miles away. And I'm not being rude by not talking to you. I just can't. I can't reach my keyboard. So if you do watch the next video, please be aware that normally, if I'm not recording, I with people are kind enough to chat with me, I'm kind enough to chat back. Sadly, Nuts coming, I can't do it right now because I have like my big screen in front of me, my microphone, my keyboard is out of arm's length away from me. With the king of spades here, I might continue in some way on table 3, but we don't, so if we made a slightly smaller donk bet, I maybe would have thought about raising or calling. as we know by now, I don't see bet bluffing multi-way pots very often. Games seem to have quite a few more short stackers in tonight. I'm hoping it's going to be quite an action session. Feels like it might be. We might find the tournament to load up shortly. And I've used that to encourage us to put a big long video session together. You know, 4-bet bluff with my ace jack off suit. He absolutely snap calls. We flop the nut flush draw. He donks into us massively. I'm going to presume he just has an overpair here of some description, like pocket 10 or something. I'm just going to jam. We don't need to fold very often for this to be like really profitable. And if he's just got king queen with a spade or something, then obviously we're in great shape. And sometimes he just folds, which is obviously a fine result, and he does just fold this time, so we'll absolutely take that. I'm not really sure what he can do that with, but we'll take it. Table 1, I think we just called. I think raising, overplaying our hand a little bit. Don't know enough about either player on table 2, table 3, so I'm just going to start by calling. Good shot, 2 overcards, but he has no money. Going to make a small value bet now on table 1. We could be value owning ourselves slightly here against who knows what, some 2 pairs that he might have or whatever. They just, for whatever reason, check call, as we talked about in earlier videos of how people check really strong hands sometimes. So sometimes going for thin value with just 1 pair doesn't always work out as well as you might hope, because sometimes you just do get called by better because people have checked hands that you would typically expect them to bet. Again, this might be another situation here where we just get called by a better jack sometimes. There's almost no 2 pairs he can have. There's the flush draw, straight draws, missed. It's almost worth considering check calling on table 3. If you can hear some background noise, I'm afraid it's the weather. It's fucking bouncing down here. Come to think of it now, I think it might be a check call on table 3. When he checks back 2 9s, it's a bit of a pisser. Well, like every draw's missed. He's checked back the flop, just called the turn. It doesn't look like he's got a very strong hand to me. So maybe there's more value in checking to induce plus from whatever. He just bets 3 big blinds. Makes quite an interesting problem. Because can we like make a really small raise here now and get called sometimes by worse? Because calling just seems too weak. So we just make a really quite a small raise. And yes, we get called by worse. Ace 8, lovely. I mean, he might well have called a bet with, he probably would have called a bet with ace 8 on the river anyway. So I'm not going to pretend it's like superstar play there, but it's nice when we can get a check raise in with 1 pair and get called by worse. I'm not going to squeeze here because of Bankroll stack size. Because I think he's just going to jam too often when I squeeze. Then we're just getting it in pre-flop for 40 blinds with ace jack, which isn't something that I'm particularly keen to do. Ace 7 suited. We can go 2 ways with this, I guess. We can 3-bet it, or we can call. I don't know anything about my opponent. I think we'll go down the calling route. I think we have to call a jam. If we call this turn, we have to call a river jam too, and I'm not in the mood for calling a river jam with 2nd pair, so we won't. bets the flop, snap checks back the turn on the king. So he's got a capped range here, but he's out of position. So he went out of position, so he can still just bluff catch us quite easily here with Queen X and what have you. So we're just going to check again and fold if he bets. Yeah, and there's no way. He was never folding King Queen, the 10 Queen there. He needs to bet that river when we check. I think that's really quite a poor check back from him there. C-bet here, multi-way with that gut shot on our 1 over card. Just enough equity for me to want to bet as a bluff. Wow, we've been 3-bet by somebody with a chicken tag. Everything but Queens plus goes in the bin in that situation. Just about. 2 Chinese guys chatting like nobody's business here. They could be saying anything, couldn't they? None of us would have even the slightest clue. Well, any Chinese guys watching would obviously know, but not me. Really wet board, so we'll go for the big C-bet on the regular table. I'm going to call to let the limper in the pot with 2 9s try and flop a set 3-handed. Flop a gut shot instead, which is nowhere near as exciting. Similar situation to the regular table just a moment ago. We got top pair on the dry board. We're not the pre-flop raiser, so we're not going to donk bet. Maybe think about going for a small check raise now for value though. When he bets so small, he just instantly folds. But whatever. I hear people now will always saying, "Oh, it's a bad raise there. You can never get called by worse." My answer to that is, of course we can. It's a micro stakes. We make it so small, he's going to call with pretty much all his pocket pairs. Worse jacks. Sometimes just like float with 2 high cards because we made it so small. Don't want to set man with 2 7s against somebody who already started the hand with 40 blinds. Doesn't seem like a particularly good table, this regular table that we've got, but we'll keep it there. It's doing no harm, is it? And we're going to squeeze on table 3 with the king queen off rather than just overcall and potentially go 4 to the flop. And then be in like the worst position against 3 opponents. We get called by the absolute nit. We're going to stab this flop and expect him to fold most of his pocket pairs that he's called with. He doesn't fold, we're giving up because he's got the chicken tag. I know this player, he plays like 15/6, something like that. Maybe he's maybe not that weak, but weak enough where once he check calls again this, he can absolutely just have hands like ace queen, ace jack that he's just literally never going to fold. And I'm not going to try and make him fold. We took our shot, it didn't work out. We absolutely do not pay players like that off. It's not what we're here for. So we check the flop, he checked back, we bet the turn, he just called. He's going to block the river, hope to get called by a worse king, or, well, not worse kings now because we're chopping, but by worse hands, like pocket pairs and things. Maybe sometimes Some ace highs call. All in for 37 big blinds. Where are you from, buddy? Russia. This is close, I think. I think this is close. I don't know anything about him. You have a lot of high cards in his range, though, isn't he? But the thing is, rather going to be flipping or crushed. I don't think he's doing it with pocket sevens or worse very often, so will not be a hero. Oh shoot! Why have I just done that? Why has that just gone to like all in? Or I've no idea what's just happened there. Has my software malfunctioned? I don't understand why we've just gone all in for 85 blinds. I need to be careful because looking forward to seeing that in the video, rewinding, see what the fuck actually happened there, because right now I have no idea how I managed to just raise to 85 big blinds. But everyone folded, so we'll take it. He's got Jack X or a misdraw, hasn't he? So we'll bet big. Well, not necessarily, you can't pocket eights and things as well, but we'll bet pretty big. Because he can't call with his draws, but he might bluff catch with most of his pairs. Call with the King Jack on the button just to let the under the gun limper in. Could choose that hand to 3-bet with 2, but when there's a limper in the pot, I prefer to, if I'm going to be in position on the button, let the limper see the flop 2. He bomb c-bets that board. We're out. We get the ace high flop and value bet our kings. What have we got tournament wise? 888. What have you got for me? Snap 6 match. When did that start? Not too long ago. Oh, nothing coming up in the immediate future, so we'll just keep that tab open and see what pops up. Because this cash table is pretty much dull as ditch water. We've got some ass white short stacker to our left who isn't even playing like a short stack strategy. We've got what looks like 3 regulars. So it's an awful table, but can't really be asked looking for a better one because it's just 10 and else or whatever. I would check back that flop with an ace sometimes, so I don't hate doing it when I've got nothing. He bets 5 on the turn, which looks very much like a blocker bet to me. But we've got Queen 9 suited, so what are we going to do? We had absolutely no equity there. If we raise as a bluff and get called, we're fucked. And I haven't played this ace7 at all well. Should have definitely bet the turn when he checked back. Made a mistake there. Not going to compound that mistake by making a pretty obvious bluff now. So as we talked about in the last video, I've not really been super focused so far this video. It's kind of the sessions just played. Don't know why that is, but I'm going to absolutely work on absolutely work on my focus now. Could be that fourth table. It might just be enough to put me off. Who knows? All I know is right now we're down. Getting over 2 buy-ins. And that wasn't part of the plan. But there's going to be like no, in this series, there's not going to be a matter of, you know what, this has been a bit of a crap video, we've lost too many buy-ins, I'm not going to produce it, anything like that. There's none of that going on. It's just going to be a matter of nuts and bolts of the grind. If I have a bad session and I'm recording, you guys are going to see a bad session that I'm recording, because it's important that we capture all parts of the grind and not just show the stuff where it's going gloriously well or what have you. Reasonable flop for us on table 2. I'm not going to see it on table 3 because of, you know, we might have the best hand. If we don't, it's unlikely to fold. No need to value bet on table 1. He might just be pot controlling with an ace. If he isn't, then he can't really call with very much. Our hand is very much just a check call or check fold type hand there, I feel. Very tempted to check back on this board. It's super wet, so we can say, yep, we can get value from draws still. But I'm really quite fearful of getting check jammed on here by like combo draws or like all kinds of things. I don't want to get check jammed on, so I'm prepared to let a bad card come off when it's going to check back. King isn't the worst card in the world, to be fair. It's not brilliant, it's a scare card. We have to call this, but I'm not at all confident we have the best hand here. But he can have, what plus can he have? You know what, I'm not even sure what plus he can have, really. Miss flushes, obviously, if he has them. Ace Queen's got there, Ace King's got there, King Queen's got there. We really don't beat too much. My initial instinct of call is now changing to a fold because what do I beat? I don't think he's betting like Ace 10, Queen 10, stuff like that. I don't think he's betting pocket 9s. And we're going to hold with the Ace Queen. Yep, we sure are. Interesting jam there. I'm not sure what to think when he went all in, other than, well, we have Ace King. You probably wouldn't do that with aces. So, call. I guess that was like the nuts and bolts of a very basic thought process there is, I don't think he'd do that with aces, so therefore, call. And if he has kings or whatever, then good for him. I'd been much more worried there if he'd made it like whatever 30 or something. Not so worried when they just do the overbet jam. So let's play a check called C-bet multi where we get a massive brick turn. It's just a matter of just, I might even jam. He's only got 41 blind. If we bet 16, it's either bet 16 or jam, isn't it? Which is better? Let me think. Let's focus. I actually think betting 16 is maybe better than jamming. Jam is just a bit too much of an overbet, I think. Two of diamonds on the river, whatever. If he's got a flush, if he's backed into a flush, then we just have to pay him off. He didn't. So I think now going for the smaller bet on the turn worked out there quite nicely. I think he probably would have folded to a jam on the turn. But the smaller bet's got us his entire stack. And I'm glad that I stopped and focused there, because sometimes I would just go for the overbet jam thinking, well, kind of... My typical rule is if I'm betting the turn and there's like an SPR of 1.5 or less, I usually just go with the fucking jam. But didn't feel like that was a good time to do it there. In 3-bet, we have ace jack. We don't like it, but we can't fold. He just pots into us. If he made it smaller, half pot I would have called, but when he pots it, we just let it go on that board texture. Question on table 2 is, are we going to squeeze our ace queen? Well, no, that isn't an option anymore. Now the question is, do I want to get 55 blinds in pre with ace queen? No, is the answer to that question. And that's the kind of fold I made there that I think lots of players struggle to make. They either call and then just miss and get in messes, or they just jam because they don't know what else to do. I'm just much more into folding in spots where I'm not sure than being aggressive or calling when I'm not sure. Just cut my losses. If I'm not sure, I'll just cut my losses now. That's kind of when it comes down to with me. $15, $23, 10 jack suited. No. Really, really, really small check raise here. I usually give these small check raises almost no credit. We can't really call low, so we're going to try and rebluff, and then if he jams, then we know that he's just the sort of person who makes these bets with a strong hand. But if he calls, we can sometimes back in to do something nice with our hearts and our 2 overcards and what have you. I think usually people check raise these flops for value. It's just so rare to do it with just like a min raise. Doesn't make sense. I mean, if you're gonna like give the strength of your hand away by check raising, why would you then make it such a small size when there's that tons of money behind? And he might be doing it. This might be his way of playing his sets or whatever. It's 4-3s. Who knows? This might be his way of playing the nuts. But my population read, which is all we have to go on there, is that when people make these shitty small check raises, it's not typically an indication of strength. And sometimes I will still fold, but not when we've got like the backdoor flush draw and 2 overcards. It's a situation where, if we do get called, if he is doing it with, no pocket 8 or something like that, we have equity against those types of hands. I'm not sure if I just folded something on table 2 there that I shouldn't have done due to another lack of concentration. You see me quite a lot. Blind versus blind, I would typically check top pair on the flop just to give people a chance to stab, because ranges are quite wide, blind versus blind, and quite often people just don't have anything. So I'll usually give them one chance to bluff when I just have like a top pair type hand. Once they don't take that option of bluffing, I will then usually just bet twice and hope they've got some kind of bluff catching hand. Two calls with the aces. We get a pretty good flop for aces. We're only behind to sets. If someone's got a set, then absolutely hallelujah. But we do at least have some redraws against sets, so he's going to get it in here, and if he has flopped a set, then he's just going to get all of our money. I'm not going to level myself. He hasn't got a set. We have a lot of equity, and we realise it. Very rare you'll catch me advocating folding over pairs, particularly aces and kings in 3-bet pots. Flop me something nice. That is not flopping me something nice. I was trying to think of a reason for limping there with the aces. Sometimes if I think I've got a bunch of aggressive players behind me, I will occasionally, very occasionally, go for a limp re-raise under the gun with like aces and kings and things. Not very often, but if I think I've got like a bunch of really aggro players behind, I like to do it. And some of the things that they just call your limp re-raise with and then stack off with post-flop are quite amusing. You'd be surprised just how light people will stack off in those spots. Post-flop. If they, I don't know, say they isolate you with 8-7 and decide to flat your raise and then flop a pair. They quite often just go with it. Fuck knows why, but they do. But you need to have the right people behind you. I went through a spell of limping aces, well, like limping quite a few things under the gun. Because playing out of position in bloated pots isn't nice. It didn't work out too well. I've found myself not getting isolated too often. Like in the olden days, if you limped, somebody would pounce on it. I don't think that happens as much these days. People don't pounce on it with just really weak hands. It used to be like punish the limpers, punish the limpers. It's still a thing, of course, but I think it's less of a thing. And especially with me being a non-regular, I think it's much less likely someone's going to fall for it with me. As a complete unknown, you could maybe get away with it. If it was a complete unknown with an 87 big blind stack, you would 100% get away with it. Flop to set on table 2, and he's just bombed pot. He's just called. I'm just going to jam, I think. Don't want any bad cards to come up on the turn. Don't want my action to be killed. We could be set over setted here or whatever, but you know, we've got to set. Get the money in. And we get 2 folds. It's just when he bombs pot and he calls, and all of a sudden there's like 30 odd big blinds in the pot. They've both only got 60 left each, or around 60 left each. And if I just call there and any card comes off that's straightening, or any overcards come off and someone's in there with 10, someone's in with like 8s or whatever they were, like overpairs that aren't sets, I don't want them having any reason to get scared. Just jam now and trust that you're going to stack overpairs a reasonable amount of the time. Did not expect a 23 big blind, 26 big blind stack to open and then fold to a 3-bet, but it's happened. Regular table continues to be incredibly tedious, but whatever, it's just there, isn't it, doing its thing. Is that the same guy who opened folded a minute ago? I think it is, isn't it? Is it? My eyes are fucking dreadful. Yes, it is. This time he's min raised. And we don't have as strong of a hand, so we're going to call instead. Flop trips, which is pretty damn nice. So we've flopped the nuts just about. We've turned the monkey nuts. Can we hit the king and river the absolute coconuts? That is the big question. Nope. We're not going to get the opportunity to do that. Sorry for the really tedious, dull Wilkesoof references, but get used to them. In fact, no, I'm not sorry for them. My video, say what the fuck I want. Min 3-bet. Ace 10 off. Call. Try and flop something good. We don't flop something good. So now we're in fold mode. Ace king. Heart comes on the turn. Give up. Obviously we can't fold here. We'll almost certainly beat. But we're getting what, 5.5 to 1. Maybe Ace 10 just wins here. Maybe Ace 10 just beats King Queen or something. Nope. Wow. The fuck? I need to get rid of this fucking cash table here. It's fucking duller than my missus. Yep, you need to go. Let's see if we can't find a tournament or something to put up. What's that tournament there? Late regging, when did it start? No, oh wow, that started over an hour ago. We won't be late regging for that bad boy. No, otherwise you've got a bunch of them awful turbos, like a 6-minute tournament where you just end up, everyone just ends up going all in blind and seeing who wins. If I wanted to play something like that, I'd just go and buy a scratch card in the morning, not pay rake, and just give the vig to charity rather than give the vig to Triple Eight. Giving up once our C-bet doesn't work and we don't pick up any equity. 2 queens against a player from Malta. He actually is from Malta, I just checked. I don't know anything about him. Start by calling. See the ace on the flop, instantly hate our lives. Probably have to call at least once here, don't we? Because if he's any good, he'll kind of feel obliged to bet the ace XX in a 3-bet pot. So we have to call at least once. We won't be calling a double barrel unless we spike a queen on the turn, which we fail to do. Yeah, whatever. Just gonna let him have the pot. What can we do really there? With no reason to hero call him down. We don't know anything about him. He's 3-betters. He's double barreled on ace high. He just gets to win the pot when that sequence of events happens. He just gets to win. So there's absolutely no tournaments available. What if we increase the potential buy-in by $1? Does anything show up then? A few more things show up. Some shit rebuy I can't be asked about. Nope, still nothing I can be asked with. I have to keep calling why these bets are so small. I'm just going to check jam this turn on You Are Happy because of the stack size. Don't get a chance to check jam, and then the jack comes on the river, which is a truly fucking awful card. Just going to check fold now. King 10, I think his turn barrel there is laughably bad, but whatever. with the king queen against you are happy, who had jack queen. This is a funny spot on table 2. Donk, raise, call. I'm just going to let my 10 go. Really going to be hard for us to get to showdown there and have the best hand, unless it just checks through to the river. It doesn't seem like it's something that's going to happen too often. Under the gun, raise with aces. I'm going to go for a slow play. We're going to go for a Doug Polk inspired slow play. I'm going to check jam on Roby. I think he might just stab with any pair and then just not fold it. And he sucks out on us. At the same time as pocket queens gets there on the river against us on table 1. I think we have a super easy bet fold here on table 1. Problem is what calls. We block ace king. And we have to bet because our hand's so under-repped. But I expect just to get raised. Sometimes you have to fold, and then sometimes we call and lose to exactly king queen, I guess. Sometimes he calls, sorry, and we lose. I think he probably just folds pocket jacks and stuff like that, but maybe he calls with them. King 10. How did that pot stay so small on that board? I mean, that's the kind of hand, as I was talking about in one of the earlier videos, you would just expect people to just see bet with, and then just go bet, then something on maybe not bet the river. But someone just like raise king 10 suited under the gun. They've got like the absolute nut flop for them, except for flopping a flush or something. And they've just bluff caught all the way down with it. Do you think justifies my pre-flop decision now? Because he probably wouldn't have called a 3-bet and etc. etc. No pair, no real draw on table 2, but we can get some small pairs to fold if we bet, so we'll just take our one shot. Similar situation, table 2, but we're up against 2 players, so our fold equity is dramatically reduced against 2 opponents, so we won't bother trying to win any folds. And I'm aware we just got some big blank piece of real estate. I'll do a fold and watch in a minute and just fill that up. Doesn't make any difference to the quality of the video, it just helps with my shitty OCD of not liking empty spaces. We went for a 3-bet bluff with the ace 3 suited. Unfortunately, we got a call. We flopped no pair, no draw. Bet once here just to try and pick the pot up. I'm aware that we don't get him to fold any better hands whatsoever. But what we do by betting, we prevent him from stabbing on the turn with hands that would just check for the flop and then just like beating us out of the pot. We've got the initiative, we may as well continue with it. Sometimes it's nice just to pick the pot up. And if we get him to fold a hand like king queen that might stab the turn if we check the flop, all stuff like that, it's all good. Sometimes it's dead easy to get sucked into the, no better hands will fold. Sorry, no better hands will fold, no worse hands will call. It's Sometimes it's nice just to, there's a big pot out there, let's just pick up the pot. You know, he's got a relatively weak range. Let's just try and pick the pot up. Jack 10 suited out of position. Such a pretty hand, isn't it? Russia, don't know him. No pair draw, draw table 3, check back. Probably bet the turn if it checks to us. Just gonna let the Jack 10 suited go. If I'm thinking that long about it, it can't be that good of a situation, can it? So we'll just fold. We picked up the draw on the turn. He's bet. Don't really see much value in raising as a bluff. We're not getting the right odds to call, but we might end up picking up a nice pot on the river if we do hit our backdoor flush. So we might call here, hoping that if we do call, we can pick up at least an extra 12 blinds on the river. We do hit, we don't hit, so that's the end of that. Top pair, top kick, and nut flush draw against two people who aren't fully stacked. Let's just build a pot time. Ace deuce, that's quite disappointing. Disappointed with the ace 4 win that pot, but again, you're just not going to catch me c-betting in multi-way pots on boards that just like smash people's ranges. Ace jack off. Could squeeze, but don't think we will. Interesting flop on table 2. We have like a middle pair. We've been bet and called. We might have the best hand, but again, it's a situation where out of position to 2 players with a pretty marginal hand. So sometimes I'm folding the best hand there. Not very often, but sometimes I am. But it's a situation where, again, it's going to be hard for me to realise all of my equity. And we're just going to end up just guessing way too often, or just paying off way too often, basically. No pair, no draw on table 2. Now we have a draw. It's unlikely he's checked a queen back, so I'm just going to double barrel now. Snap folds. Fine outcome. Aces again on table 3. For those of you who aren't paying attention, I should have like a special siren I play when I get aces for you guys who are watching in the background. To have like an air raid siren type noise that you know, wow, big hand in progress, big hand in progress. Pretty good flop for 2 aces. Disappointing when you don't get a call on the 5-9 deuce. You don't want to raise, but you're happy with the call. It might work on finding an air raid siren type noise. Because I know there are lots of guys who have spoke to them who play with it, with the video running in the background, and I've done that myself many a time, and it's really quite easy to miss a lot of interesting things. So let's have an air raid siren every time we're in a pot that's potentially going to get big, and it'll ensure you guys never miss a big hand. Give me some feedback on that, because I'm not sure. It might be fucking weird and it might do everyone's head in. I'm not sure if this is the same guy from earlier or not, who just bet twice, pretty small, with second pair. If it is the same guy, expecting to bet 4.5 blinds on the turn. That's what he bet last time. If it's the same guy, which he might not be. I think we're going to call one more time and just check for the river. Hate small cards. Hate defending small cards by just calling. Hate giving my big blind up to a min raise, so I guess that leaves that option. We get called, we flop a pair. Might have us in front now. Turn a flush draw. How exciting. Blasts into us. We've got a ton of outs here. We might have the best hand. The 3 is a pretty disappointing river. It's as anticlimactic as it gets. One of those situations where I really feel like bluff catching. I'm trying to think of what value hands you can have. Would a jack bet this much on the river? Just a sole jack? Probably would. It's one of those weird hands where you like, doesn't feel like anybody has much of anything. Feels like we just have to call here. Oh yes, beautiful. It just fell. I just couldn't let it go. And sometimes, I mean, as you guys know, I make some fucking nitty folds. But sometimes when things is like, you know, Not sure what he can have here that he wants to do this with. Sometimes you just get the better of me. And again, it goes back to something we talked about in an earlier video of just going with your instincts. If your instincts are screaming something at you, like they were there, I had bottom pair, no kicker. We have like the purest of pure bluff catchers. But something just didn't ring true. It just didn't feel right, like, you know what? I think we have the best hand a decent amount of time here. And it's hard to put it on what. It's hard to say what you think he might have. But it's not so much of what do you think he has. It's like, what doesn't he have? That's kind of what that came down to for me. A 3 is a pretty damn easy fold. We're not going to get carried away on the hero call in front. Going to keep recording. I'm looking at it now. We've been going for just over an hour. I want to try and capture as much of this as I can, so fuck it, we'll just keep going. And I'm fully aware that people don't watch hours and hours of videos. And I'm maybe recording parts of a video that maybe only 1 or 2 people actually get to watch, but I say I want to try and capture as much of this challenge as I can, and the more hours I put into recording it, I think the more chance it gives me of actually seeing it through. Rather than just making like 1 or 2 hours a week, I might be like, well, you know what, I haven't put much into this challenge. We can just fuck it off and abandon it when I want to start playing higher again. But really big part of me wants to really complete the challenge, and ending up with 80 hours worth of content from it it's added to the motivation, that's for sure. Flip a good shot, 2 over cards. Reasonable chance we're going to check raise here. If he pots it, we maybe won't. But if he bets like 5, 4.5, I think we're going to go for a check raise. Farm like can definitely have like pocket 9s, 7x, 8x, and make this bet. Not overly impressed when he gets called on the turn in 2 spots and then leads again on the river. I think we can only call here. I think raising would be horrendous. Yeah, we do lose. Not entirely surprised about that. Did the other guy call too? No, the other guy folded. Yeah, so I plan on playing for another, it's at least a 2-hour mark. It's my only session of the day because I did get called to work today. I was planning on putting 2 sessions in, but somebody went sick at work and I got called in, so kind of went for a Burton, which coincidentally is the surname of my boss. Flop a set on a wet board. Let's make a big C bet and see where we go from there. We get the fold, which is disappointed. Just fold. When someone who's maybe a fish pots it, I'm not that keen on all the marginal type hands. I think you set yourself up for some not great post-flop spots, because usually when fish start potting, they continue potting throughout the hand. And a hand like ace-8 suited doesn't really flop well enough, often enough, to want to play that situation through. And there's all these regulars that I'm seeing again. I haven't seen them yet. Maybe they've been around, but I'm just aware of them tonight. Nuts Coming, Dr. Evil, Limbo Malta, Farmer Lab, Minori, or Minora, whatever the heck it is. Not sure exactly how good the pool is right now. Let's see if we can't take a quick look at it. It's not looking too bad in terms of the flags that are out there. But earlier on, it seemed like it was looking quite fishy. All of a sudden, there seems to be the same players turning up at every table, which makes me think maybe it's not so great. Why's that for a flop on table 2? We go for the ambitious squeeze with the ace-jack, and we flop 3 of them. Tiny c-bet, and we get raised, which seems bonkers to me. So we're just going to tank and call, and I'm just going to check the turn, obviously. Jamming makes absolutely no sense here. Checks back. Maybe I was going to say maybe our small flop c-bet induced some spew when he checks back the turn, but not really sure what was going through his head then. His flop raise just makes no sense with 2 queens, yet we bet like quarter pot, and he's pissed off that we bet quarter pot, because it kind of, he doesn't want to see that. He wants to see me making like a really big bet so he can just commit and shove or whatever, or he wants me a big bet where I can fold. So I think my bet on the flop there has probably got me his full stack, just by betting quarter pot on the flop. It's easier to bet quarter pot on the flop when you smashed it and the board's super dry though, so I'm not going to pretend that we've done anything like really out of the box there, because we haven't, basically. Prepared to stack off versus Cargo here, but not versus Dr. Evil, I think. And again, for like the 4th video running, you see me doing barely anything that can be described as anything other than like super ABC poker. We're not setting the world on fire here. We're not reinventing fire. We're not reinventing the wheel. But as you can see by my graph, it's just incredibly, incredibly effective in these games. It's as good a way as any to work your way through the micro stakes. It's just super, super, like good old fashioned nitty, tight, aggressive ABC style poker. In my opinion, there's no better way to get to the lower stakes. You keep your rate costs down. As long as you're good at value betting, it's people still call way more than they should, despite the fact you're a fucking nit. Yeah, it's incredibly effective. Boring, but effective. And Chicken Man just bets on the river when he's probably got the nuts, so... Or at least got a jack. It's super easy fold. Yep, I mean, it's an incredibly dull way to play poker, but we've won around 11 buy-ins in a week. In, like, whatever it's been. No, my win rate is currently double figures. I don't expect it to remain that way for the duration of the challenge, but I do comfortably now expect it, given that I've played a lot more hours in this pool recently. I do expect to have a 6 or 7 big blind 100 win rate by the end of it. Playing the kind of poker that the guys on the forums urge you not to play. You can't be a nit, you can't do this. I'm a fucking nit. I'm just a nit. But I'm a good nit. And yeah, it just works. Problem is, it's not a style lots of people want to play because they don't feel like they're doing enough. They don't feel like they're playing poker. They don't feel like they're not making moves. They kind of like, well, what am I doing? What are you doing? You're just printing money. That's what you're doing. Or you're printing big blinds, because you're not really printing money at 10 and L, but you're printing big blinds, which allows you to move up. I will share my stats at the end of the challenge, by the way. I've just no desire to share them mid-challenge, as I said in the early video. I know there's some regulars watching this, and much as they can just check their tracking software and see how I'm playing, they at least need to go and do that work for themselves. I'm not just going to give it away. I'm not going to give all my CBET frequencies away, my whatevers. Yep, it's dead easy for them to find it if they're asked enough to go looking for it, but some people are just too lazy to do it. They'll put off till tomorrow what they can do today, and they'll keep putting it off. And on top of that, cannot be mad with the inevitable fucking trolling that goes with being a nit. Oh, you suck, you're a nit, you're fucking shit, you're worse than fucking the devil himself. You are shit at poker, yeah, you've got a great win rate, but you're shit because you're a nit. Yeah, okay, whatever. So what so many people say to me, I've had it all my life as a poker player. From back, like before Black Friday, right the way through till now. So, you know, you can't be a nit and just like stay alive in the games. Yeah, have I made great progress in 5 years? Nope. Have I done better than nearly everybody in 5 years? Yes, because I'm still surviving. I'm still a winning player. Albeit at the micro stakes, but still, that's better than 95% of the field. Most of the guys that I was playing with 4 years ago aren't doing it anymore. They just give up with poker because they found it too hard, even at these stakes. You know, us nits, we're like fucking cockroaches. We really are. We don't have much of a life, but we stay alive. Dr. Evil almost certainly just has like aces or kings here. There's no way he's ever bluffing versus the guy with that stack size. Ace king. So that's the bottom of his range for 4-betting there. Because that would just raise 3 hands in a row. And we're not nits. Be interesting for some of you guys. Nice little challenge. You guys just... and I won't be able to, like, let you know how you've done. But for those of you who've watched this far in the video, in fact, here's a challenge for you all. Anyone that's got this far in the video, guess my VP and PFR. And for everyone that guesses, I will do... You've got till 5 days after the video's hosted. Everyone that has a guess at my VP or PFR in the chat that has got to this length of the video, because 1 hour 16 in now, so you deserve something if you got this far in. If there's 5 people in, I will put those names into a hat and I will randomly give someone a month subscription in December to my Skype group. How's that? So if you got this far in the video, congratulations. Now guess my VP and PFR. Doesn't matter if you're fucking miles out. You can put 100/100. It doesn't matter. The job is just have a guess at it. Demonstrate you've got to this part of the video. Don't let the cat out of the bag in the chat either. Just put whatever you think it is. 55-25. Just put that in the chat and nothing else. Don't let people know there's a competition. And yeah, everyone that has a guess, will be entered into a draw to win a group session, to win a month in the chat. In the session, it will be 1 private session from me, access to group sessions, access to me via Skype. Nuts Cummings just give me the speech, and then stayed in the pot. Good for him. For those of you who think you can just like give the speech at the table and I'm going to like randomly spew, that isn't going to work. Super deep with the ace-5 suited, so we kind of have to call. Not super deep with the ace-4 suited, and we're not closing the action. So yeah, just to recap, guess my VP PFR in the YouTube chat box and win yourself a chance of a month subscription to my Skype group, which is currently worth $25 because that's what it costs to join. It was $20, but since Brexit completely fucked the pound up and Donald Trump's incumbent presidential, whatever the fuck you want to call it, presidency hasn't really made the pound recover too well, my prices are going up in December to $25. Existing players can continue on the 20 because I don't think it's fair to put the price up for existing players, but all new players from now on, it's going to be $25 per month. So that's the price. If you don't want the prize, there is no cash alternative. So whatever. I'm not like Doug Polk. I can't be affording to be offering 1% of my action and stuff like that, because I'm not a millionaire. Christ, once so long ago I wasn't even 1,000 there. And bomb this river and just try and make it look like a bluff. Hopefully heroes, maybe like some kind of pocket pair. Make me sad if he raises, but whatever. He checks back flop, calls turn, raises river. I'm not going to level myself here. I just think he has slow played something. Doesn't make much sense what he can have here. But river raises without the nuts are as rare as rocking or shit, so we'll just fold. Or without a nut, not the nuts maybe, but without like a nutted type hand. Might have gone for it thinking, they're super polarized here. They're really polar, so I should call with my strongest hands. And then they just always fucking have it, so that's not something I fall into anymore. Flop 2 pair, table 1. Flop 2 overs, table 2. Checking back against James Halifax here. Is a pretty loose player, known from my 30NL sessions. He doesn't bet the river either. I don't see what worse hand to call here. This is the issue. Pocket 10s, pocket 8s. Maybe they call, but I just think he's just going to have either stuff that calls and wins or stuff he check folds too often here. And he absolutely would not have folded that there. Can categorically assure you guys of that. James Halifax is not the guy who folds second pair on the river in small pots. He is a lot of like weak draws here and 5x and whatever. You're going to bet super small just to try and get calls from worse 10s, 10-9, that kind of thing, 10-8. If he raises, I think we can call because he's kind of just ripping a 7 and nothing else. Not much else. He's not doing this with like a better 10, for example. He's not doing this with ace 10. There's kind of plenty of draws that are missed. You kind of on your reps like 7x. So yeah, I think we're going to lose a lot of the time here, but what are we getting? Like 3-1 on a call. We just even to be fucking around 25% of the time. Wow, he had the absolute fucking nizzles. I guess we can be grateful that we just made a small turn bet there. Sorry, a small river bet, which didn't cost us too much, because I probably would have called there had we made a bigger bet. But again, that just goes to demonstrate the point I made earlier. If we were to go through this series at the end and just look back at every single spot where we called a river raise with a bluff catcher, not a river bet, a river raise with a bluff catcher, it's my guess that we would be looking at hands that I lost over 90% of the time. which kind of makes my call baddish there, but on that exact board texture, given the way he's played it, and given the fact we made a small river bet, which can occasionally, well, that's kind of the problem with making the small river bet there, because it can kid you into thinking you've induced stuff that you just don't induce. So maybe you should still just bet fold there. But he made it so small. He made like 12 more blinds to us on the river. But yeah, maybe I should just check back there on the river, because it's really quite hard to get caught by worse, but he could do that. He could do, no, I don't know. Maybe it's just a bit of fancy play syndrome there. Maybe I fancy played myself into a 16 big blind loss or whatever it was, a 17 big blind loss. He would check back these boards way too often, so we're just going to donk lead into an unknown. Ace-9, just 2 overcards. But 2 overcards is pretty awesome equity. 25% if he just has like one pair. Doesn't have us like reverse dominated. I'm going to bet this turn and then just check back the river. Get value from draws here. If we get raised, dead easy fold. And we're just going to check back the river if he checks to us. This pot's plenty big enough given our hand's relatively weak. I think we got that off the hook a little bit there. This looks like a thin value bet from Farmer Lab here. I think he bets more with a flush. So we're going to try and bluff. Don't think it's a bet that regularly uses when they have a flush there. I mean, maybe we just had the best hand there and just whatever, but I didn't want to check call turn, check call river. So I think that's not going to be a way to make much money. Rather just turn my hand into a bluff. Sometimes he folds an overpair, sometimes he whatever. That was just a pure sizing thing for me. It's like, would he really bet that size with a flush? And I think not. So if I don't think he has a flush, then it gives us opportunity to pretend that we have one. King Jack off suit facing a very small 3-bet from an Australian. Much as I like playing pots against Australians, because like us Brits, typically they are not the best players in the pool. I'm not so desperate to play pots with an Australian that I want to play the King Jack off suit out of position to a 3-bet. Wow, just pots and folds from the button. Was expecting some resistance there. I think we're just going to fold. The 2 kings. No idea what's going on here, but while someone's just making such ludicrous bet sizes into us, we're just going to click kicking call because it really can't be very much of a mistake. Queen 6, wow. Come on, Ragmagnet, sorry. So we've got 2 pair against nuts coming. You call, if a diamond comes off, we'll just deal with it. Sadly, the inevitable diamond does come off. Doesn't mean to say he's got one though. No idea what's going on with this 3 blind bet, but we're going to call it. Really not sure what that 3 big blind bet achieves there. I think you should just bet more. Or do I? Kind of awkward for him. No. Actually, I don't think I mind it, actually. Maybe I'd like to see it just a little bit bigger. Maybe like 6 blinds or something. Well, again, we dodged a bullet on the flop. That's kind of how my style goes. It's not too often that I lose big pots. I play tons and tons of hands. Not tons of hands, but like volume-wise. And there's never that many like ridiculous spikes and up spikes and down spikes in my graph. I'm not one for playing super big pots. Remember Cliff Josephy said during his run in the main event, he just basically pretty much admitted his style and said I don't play big pots, and I'm not looking to play big pots. I'm looking to play big pots when I've got the nuts, and hopefully that exploitable style won't get me exploited. But I'm still playing a very pre-Black Friday style, which is kind of try and keep pots small until we have something and then try and bloat it. And just hope that my opponents either don't cotton on or are indisciplined enough to allow me to get away with it. As I said earlier, my style isn't... I'm not pulling up any trees with my style. If you copy my style or you try and like imitate my style, you're not going to be doing anything really exciting, but what you're not going to be doing is getting into tons and tons of like marginal spots in 30, 40, 50 big blind pots where you're kind of making lots of quite costly mistakes. If any mistakes I make, or most of the mistakes I make, they're not usually going to be that costly. Yeah, of course I'm going to make some costly mistakes from time to time, but I believe one of my advantages I have over my peers is that I make less costly mistakes per 100 or per 1,000 or per whatever than most of my peers, and that's really helpful. that combined with my lower rate contributions all just add to my bottom line profit. When you think about it, there's like a thread on 2+2 years ago from one of my favourite people in poker, Lyman. If you're not aware who Lyman is, find him on 2+2, follow him on Twitter, Lyman Poker. Listen to some of his like poker sessions, he's live at the bike commentaries and stuff like that. He's just absolutely full of wisdom. Are some of his strategies kind of outdated and unsuitable to modern online poker? Yes. But his overall outlook on poker is, in my opinion, phenomenal. I've a lot of my overall poker approaches has kind of been gleaned from listening to him and listening to his overall approach to poker. And he once like put a thread on saying how basically most players are just nits deep down and most players are just fucking boring. And he was saying people like Dor Brunson are boring, the fucking nits, Phil Ivey, etc. And they are. They really are. They weren't nits when they were playing heads up on full tilt or whatever it was they were doing. But broadly speaking, they're just nits. You know, they're just looking to see cheap flops, make big hands, and then start building pots. That's their strategy. We're just going to check for the aces here, I think, on this board and all this traffic. Once it checks through and the board pairs, I think we can try and get some value on the turn. Diamond, please. No diamond. Getting nearly 3-1 on a call, 5-1 to make our hand, but we can get a value bet paid, can we? I'm just done with this hand on table 1, by the way, now. Don't see any way how we can win it when we get called in 2 spots on that board and the river pairs a 7 and the river brings a 7. Fold the flush draw on the paired board. If it checks through, we might win. No, the minute I saw that flop in a multi-way pot, I kind of lost all interest in my hand. That's the spot where we've just been talking about keeping pots small, trying to blow them when we want to. And that's a spot on that board with 2 aces where too many of you guys will lose way, way, way too much money. And if I was to post that hand and say I'm going to check fold the flop, you know, lots of the people who've been a fucking outrage on the forums. Oh, that's so exploitable, fucking this, that, and the other. No. Those guys are just flat out fucking wrong. There's no other way of putting it. They're just wrong. If you've got 2 aces on a, whatever the fucking board was, on that board there from the flop, and there's 4 people in the pot, 4 other people in the pot, you know, the chances of your aces being good, pretty slim. I was going to check that, but it didn't let me. And then I realised betting was much better. And yeah, so getting back to the Lyman point, he basically said everyone's fucking boring at poker. Most people who are successful poker players are essentially quite boring poker players. Yeah, they might have wider pre-flop. They've certainly got wider pre-flop ranges than me, but you can have them when you're playing the games they're playing. You're playing in really fishy televised cash games, 200, 300, 400 blinds deep with an ante and some big fish. Of course, you can play wider ranges. But, you know, post-flop, most of them aren't breaking too far away from just standard tag poker. And, you know, you go back and you can, for every one hand you can show me where someone does something outrageous, with the exception of Tom Dwan, back in the day, I could probably show you 10. The 10 hands that went down completely standard. And that's not counting all the hands that they cut out. That just don't make the edit. You know, those guys are playing for like maybe 16-hour sessions, and they're maybe showing, 8 hours worth of footage. So they're cutting out a lot of nothingness there. And maybe the sessions are filmed over 2 or 3 days. I'm not entirely sure how long High Stakes Poker took to record. Not sure how long the games ran for, but quite often they'd maybe record for a 12-hour session and they'd run 4 episodes off it. So there's an awful lot of stuff that's just getting cut out, which is effectively just people being fucking nits and boring. Anyway, we flopped the nuts on table 2. So we're going to blast. Hopefully get to demonstrate my point that we just wait for the nuts or wait for strong hands and just get it in. Super good. And you could argue that's a little bit of a cooler there, but who cares? Excuse me. If you go through your poker life just trying to stay out of trouble whilst trying to ensure you don't miss too much value, Reggie, you a boss. I like that. I wish my fucking smiley thing would work, because I would absolutely respond to somebody saying, Reggie, you a boss. I don't necessarily agree with him, but thank you anyway. I like that. I need to get to my... Is that the right letter? I need to get to my keyboard when someone's being as kind as that, don't I? Flop top set. Isn't it nice to be us, flopping top set? Not the greatest of turn cards. Not much has got there though. We're just going to have to raise and get it in, and if whatever the nuts is, 8-6. If 8-6 has done us, well, 8-6 has done us, hasn't it? Hard to see how he can have 8-6 when he's raised from that position. We have to raise that turn though, because there's too much starting to go on there. There's all kinds of draws out there that can either hit the river and kill our action or kill our hand. The fact that our raise got a fold shouldn't dissuade us from doing the same play, making the same play next time. I think I'm kind of obliged to bluff. I don't expect A-side to fold too often. I think I've kind of butchered this hand. Just slightly switched off there. Reveling in the compliment from Seo, or whatever the heck he's called. It's nice that you have like little old me sat in like some little backwater in northwest England, reaching all the way out to Canada and having people appreciate what I'm doing. It's quite humbling. It really is. Even though I fully accept I'm just some small time shitty microstakes video maker, still quite humbling when people show you some appreciation. It's nice. Do appreciate it, because you get plenty of stick in this, when you're making these videos. That's why I don't post to Reddit anymore. I just can't be fucking asked. I post to Reddit, but I don't post videos to Reddit because it's the downvotes and this shit you get off, just like angry bad regs. You just can't be asked with it. So it's nice now that I'm just posting to like a couple of Facebook groups and just posting them up, and then I'm getting less views, but getting much less hate as well, and it's just nice. Really doesn't make me feel nuts coming. Why are you not reloading? But if you're watching my videos, why aren't you reloading? Yeah, you need to stick your auto reload on, sir. And probably if you're not auto reloading, you probably have loads of other small mistakes you're making too. So Fair enough, you might have beat me out of most of the pots tonight, according to you, but if you do want to reach out to me and have a chat about how we can maybe improve your game, $25 a month, sir. Come and have a chat. I'm fully aware that Run It Once elite subscriptions are much less than $25 a month, but you don't get one-to-one love and affection from guys who are beating the absolute ready games that you're playing in. You don't get that. Yeah, you get to watch a lot of cool videos from a lot of good players, but you don't get someone giving you the kind of love and attention that I give you when you become one of the team. $2 in the morning. Should be going to bed soon, really. Question time to watch it. It's been on tonight. For those of you who aren't UK viewers, Question Time is just some political programme that middle-aged men like me watch. There's a UKipper on tonight, so no doubt he'll ball my piss up badly. I think there's a UKipper anyway. I'm going to put it on briefly. I heard the word UKIP mentioned. If you are a UKipper, feel free to stop watching now, because chances are I'm not going to like you very much. Oh, getting a walk at Queens, that doesn't seem fair. It's almost as bad as losing. It feels almost not as bad as losing, obviously, it feels as bad as losing sometimes. Yeah, I think we're just going to plug it out till the 2-hour stage and wrap it up, I think. So I'm going to wrap up the recording. Whether I wrap up the session or not, who knows. I am quite addicted to poker. I am quite hooked. Once I get in a session, lately I've been putting the big grind on. I'm not scared of the ace, but it kind of kills our action a little bit. So we just check and hope he bluffs. I just put the chat on again when he's 3-bet me. Fold. Wow, that's a big bet. Oh, no, it's not that big actually. Wow. I was going to call. I had no point in Hollywood. I'm not going to call that. If he's bluffed me, then good. I was going to call a normal size bet there because kind of not sure what aces he can have. Obviously, he can have some. I'm not pretending he can't have any, but just call the flop. Then I don't know. I was in bluff catching mood there until he dropped the hammer, and then I stopped being in bluff catching mood. So he's bet half pot. We've got just a gut shot. But we can call this bet, and then if he caps his range on the turn by checking, we can start trying to make some bluffs. He does indeed cap his range by checking, so let's execute the plan. Knowing that if we do get called, we've probably still got an ace that might be good, or if not, a 5 that might be good. If we get check shoved on, we've got an easy call. Some people will do this and just check shove the turn. Some like some fishy, it's a type of line some fish will take. probably should do some work in the next couple of days in tagging some players. And I'm already starting to get to know who the absolute regulars are, but there's lots of players kicking around who I'm seeing that I think maybe aren't good regulars, and I could probably do with knowing what their ranges kind of look like. And I'll try and identify somebody to say the kind of player I'm talking about when I find one. Minor, whatever the heck he's called, for example. I know he's a regular. I have no idea if he's 17/14 or 25/23 though. And that's stuff that would come in handy knowing. Sometimes you can have like pieces of information that could fuck you up. That's the trouble. Like sometimes a little bit of information can be like a dangerous thing. If you only got say 300 or 400 hands on somebody, and you start making some reads based on some stats of 300 or 400 hands that make you deviate from population reads, and it turns out in like 2,000 hands later he's playing pretty similar to the population, it can sometimes be a little bit dangerous. But at the same time, it feels like I've been playing these games now for 14, 15 hours, and I haven't done any work with my database whatsoever yet. I've just been grinding it out. Which is obviously fine, but not setting the best of examples. Sorry for the lack of commentary. I am starting to get a little bit tired now. I am just literally clinging on until the end of the video, kind of running out of things to say. But again, the anally retented, whatever the fuck the word is, OCD type thing in me now thinks we're so close to 2 hours, we just have to get there. Well, I am starting to wane just a little bit. It's been a good session though, I've enjoyed it. We've made nearly a buy-in, which is what, keeping our $5 an hour up or whatever the hell it is. I'm going to earn those $1,000 when I get there, aren't I? I'm going to earn them really well. It just goes to show. I mean, the last video we made 5 buy-ins in next to no time. And tonight we've put a grind in for 2 hours and we've only made a buy-in. And some nights we're going to put a grind in for 2 hours and we're going to lose money. That's just poker. It's just kind of how it works. And you cannot allow 1, 2, 5, 7, 10, whatever. You've got to let all the sessions melt into one and just see where you're at after 100 hours or whatever. See what's going on. If you start letting 1 or 2 sessions of either hyperactivity or lack of activity affect your mindset, affect the way you play, affects the way you view the game or whatever, you're never going to be able to provide a consistent approach, and you need to provide a consistent approach to get the job done. People just tinker way too often, tinker between the sites, and I'm one of the fucking worst for this. Tinker between the sites they play, tinker between loose and tight, tinker with 3 betting ranges, tinker with opening sizes, and they're tinkering with like lots and lots of things, and sometimes it's just hard to get a handle on where you are because you're always changing that much. You don't really know what's working, what's not working. It can be super confusing. Sometimes it's best just to fucking say, you know what, this is the strategy I'm going to employ, and I'm going to employ it for tens of thousands of hands or hundreds or tens or hundreds of hours, And then at the end of that, when we played 100 hours or when we played 50,000 hands, we're going to take a step back and we're going to look and we're going to see then what's working, what isn't working, rather than making too many adjustments on the fly. Very juicy it is. That needs to go back to that because that table was going to disappear soon. Probably not before the end of the video, but again, I don't like seeing it. I must know how a marathon runner feels now. When you get to like the last few hundred yards of a marathon, you can see the end in sight. Not that I've ever run a marathon or ever likely to, because I'm way too fucking overweight and lazy. But they often say like the last mile's the hardest, or like players that play darts or snooker saying that the last leg or the last frames are always the hardest to win. I'm kind of seeing that now with this video. Kind of thinking, you know what? Come on, we're nearly there. Another 90 seconds and we've done it. Because tiredness has really crept in this last 10 minutes. Oh, even that 30 seconds took fucking ages. I'm probably going to be okay sitting out next blind at every table now, aren't we? I would guess. Going to get us to the 2 hour stage. We might not. You might not. We're going to need a hand somewhere to play out for us. One's down. 25 seconds. Mind you, we get to the 2 hour stage just by closing it out now, won't we? 2 overcards, backdoor, straight draw. Not the best of balls to see bet on, but he might just fold Jack Queen here or something like that. Which he does. And we've just about made the 2 hours without actually artificially having to spam it out. Yep, there we go. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm completely exhausted. Haven't got much energy to sum the video up with. But yeah, we've made a buy-in just about, I think. And I don't think we've necessarily ran super hot this session. So overall, really pleased with it. Really pleased with how the grind's going still. Don't forget the competition. And yeah, we'll catch you guys soon with another video. Bye-bye for now.